Batman, Then and Now, Heroes and Cultural Change. We begin our study of heroes and cultural change by looking at two completely different incarnations of the DC Comics character, Batman. The first incarnation is the Batman from the 1966 television series played by Adam West. The second will be a look at an incarnation of the 1940 comic book character brought into the more modern world of 2008 called the Dark Knight, played by Christian Bale in the 2008 Warner Bros. Release. In 1966, 20th Century Fox produced a television show called Batman, based off the original DC Comics character. The producers were looking to bring some satire and comedy to the character for the show, so they chose Adam West due to his comedic style and personality. The TV show was very lighthearted in its tone and overall feel, so much so that even the depictions of violence in the show were covered up by cut screens to comic strip writings of words such as "pow" and "bam." An example of the levity of the show can be seen in Season 1, Episode 1, when the Riddler sets Batman up in an attempt to sue him in civil court. The TV show also focuses on surface-level morality, with very little room for deep introspection. Batman is part of a dynamic duo, which includes his sidekick, Robin, played by Burt Ward, who never uses foul language and seems almost naive throughout the TV series. The pair are loved by the city and assisted by the commissioner and police. They are respectable and looked up to by all around them. When Batman encounters the Riddler, his arch-nemesis, he does not attempt to kill him or to do anything more than arrest him and detain him for the police. This element of gentlemanly violence and crime fighting is very indicative of the 60s when the show was originally aired. In 2008, Warner Bros. Released a movie entitled The Dark Knight, which is a modern incarnation of Batman but with a much darker and serious character. The movie begins with Batman being on the wrong side of the law. The self-styled vigilante is wanted by police and is not the well-loved and trusted hero we see in the TV show. Despite this, Batman teams up with James Gordon and the district attorney Harvey Dent. They work together to go after organized crime which has been hijacked and is now led by the criminal mastermind known as the Joker. This movie is not jovial in any way, as the violence and overall atmosphere are very somber and disturbing. During one scene in the movie, the Joker describes how his father took a knife to his mother in front of him, and how he then proceeds to give the Joker his quote-unquote smile. The character of Batman in this film is no longer wearing a blue and yellow impractical outfit, but is now equipped with an all-black, highly armored suit to protect him from a real criminal threat and deadly enemies. The movie is much more deep and introspective than the TV series, and throughout the movie, there is little black and white in morality, but allusions to varying shades of gray. When Batman loses his composure during his interrogation of the Joker tells Batman that it doesn't make sense to follow rules in life. Batman says he only has one rule. That rule, as everyone knows, is not to kill. The Joker tells Batman that he will break his one rule that very evening. Batman does in fact break that rule in the movie by killing Harvey Dent. Between the two characters, there are many similarities, even though their air dates span about 40 years. Both Batman characters are alter egos of the millionaire Bruce Wayne, who is a rich business tycoon by day and a vigilante by night. Both have access to and use personalized special gadgets incorporated into their suits that assist them in their crime-fighting endeavors. Part of their specialized gear is the Batmobile, which both characters have, albeit vastly different in the 2008 version than the one in the 1966 television series. One of the most noticeable differences between the TV series and The Dark Knight is the fighting skills that are demonstrated by the Caped Crusader. On the TV show, Batman can hold his own in a fight against ordinary men, but does not display anything resembling skilled combat training whatsoever. The Dark Knight, on the other hand, is well versed in martial arts, and it is more than apparent in the fight scenes. In addition to the advanced fighting skills, another main difference in the fighting is that the punches, cuts, and kicks all connect in The Dark Knight, and there are no cutscenes to avoid the depictions of violence. While both heroes use specialized gadgets, as noted previously, the Dark Knight's weapon systems are far superior than the ones used by our 1966 version. This has everything to do with the technology and innovations of the period, but it adds an element of professionalism and realism to the Dark Knight that was lacking with the original TV series. The suit, in particular, went from being merely a costume designed to conceal his identity to being a suit of armor that was practical and necessary for Batman to be able to accomplish his pursuit of justice. So, what is a hero? According to Merriam-Webster, a hero is a mythological or legendary figure, often of divine descent, endowed with great strength or ability. While our hero is not of divine descent, he is most definitely a mythological and legendary figure with great strength and ability. On the TV series, we see that Batman is a hero because of his internal strength and ability to be upright and lawful. He has special abilities to combat crime, but mostly due to his large amount of wealth and influence. His strength is mainly in his strength of character. For example, there's a scene in episode 1, Hey Diddle Riddle, where Batman goes to a dance club for people 21 and over, while Robin waits in the car, presumably because he's too young to get in. Batman refuses alcohol and orders an orange juice, which is almost unheard of for a gentleman in the 60s. Even though he refrains from alcohol, his drink is still spiked with a drug, and he becomes unable to drive and chase the Riddler. Knowing his limits, he turns over his keys rather than drive under the influence. In The Dark Knight, we can easily see Batman's abilities in martial arts, manipulation, and ferocity, but we also see his strength in self-sacrifice. For example, after Batman kills Dent, he convinces Gordon to put the blame for everything on Batman in order to save any good work that Dent had done. This is a perfect example of self-sacrifice. The 1966 TV series Batman was a reflection of its time. Even as a superhero, Batman was expected to be a gentleman, and the governing sanctions that monitored the airwaves were most definitely a contributing factor to the nonviolent, comic approach to presenting Batman. A polite, do-gooder hero was perfect for the scene in the 60s. The Second World War was over, and life was much less complicated with threat and crime rates being down. People were looking for levity and laughter, with only a slight moral nudge. In 2008, society had moved very far away from the conservative nature of movies and television in the 60s, which gave the writers and producers of The Dark Knight a lot of leeway with violence, storyline, and realism. The culture had shifted into a much scarier world of fear-mongering and terrorists lurking behind every corner. Social media and global interaction had increased by this time as well. The producers of The Dark Knight launched one of the most interactive advertising campaigns in history to promote this movie, and the hype had people overly excited for its release. The world was no longer black and white, and The Dark Knight reflected this very well, giving viewers some deeper insight into the darkness of humanity, and some comfort in the fact that even superheroes are flawed.